kind of not a technical topic, but we thought we will better have this topic. We do not want to have this as a lengthier topic also. We want to keep it very short. I had a discussion with Vaibhav. Our idea is to have this next week, but then I just requested Vaibhav, we will have a quick intro this week so that next week we can talk about interesting technical topics. So here I'm just going to share my views on how things changed over the few years and how we can prepare well for the interviews. So do not consider this is going to be like a magical pill where you are going to follow certain rules and then you are going to get your dream job there. But I'm just going to put the facts right to understand the problem and the changes that we have and how do we need to adapt to these changes to get our better jobs. So that's the idea. So this, I start with a story. Few years before, I was working with a media-based company a few years before, and they were closing their operation in India. And around 60-70 people in our company, we were all need to look for different opportunity at that point in time. At least me, I either worked as an interviewer for some time or I take interviews. I help people to find their jobs. So I will be one way or the other way, I will be related to interviews. So last 10 years, I have been watching how the interviewers changes, how the industry is demanding skill set and all those stuff. So with that skill, I thought, okay, I'm very confident. So this is how the story starts. So I'm going to leave my job and then I need to look out for a job. So I was not very concerned about the job because I'm very confident that I can get my job easily. So like any interview you go, you will have these questions who introduce about yourself. So when I introduce about myself, like I might say, okay, I have around 17 years of design development experience, both as an architect as well as senior software engineer, trainer, corporate trainer, and whatever it is. I have experience, and then I have travel experience, e-commerce experience, banking, education domain. I speak at various meetups, international conferences. I do a corporate training. From the UI side, so I started as a Java Swing developer, desktop developer, and then I moved to JSP. I moved to FreeMarker. From there, I moved to jQuery, and then I used a little bit of OUI, and then I started with MVC with Backbone, and then I used Adobe Flex, which is like rich internet application. It's a forefather for HTML5 at that point in time, and then I'm using a little bit of React also now. So that's my UI experience. And I started from the architecture side. I used client server initially. And then I use three-tier architecture, service-oriented architecture, microservices, micro front-end, atomic design methodology, and whatever you can name CI/CD, UX, and all those stuff. So I was very confident, and then with all the confidence, I was giving my interview for the first time. So it was a very different. Before 3 years, I gave an interview, and then now I'm attending another interview. It was very different because what I understood is the calls are not coming that easily. The calls were rare. Earlier, if I apply for an interview, if I apply it in a job portal, I will get called like 10, 15 calls a day. But later, I mean, at that point in time, now I'm getting only say 1 or 2 calls a week or something like that. Then I attended the interview. I explained about myself, and the interviewer asked this question: you have a number of arrays, integer arrays. You need to find adjacent numbers that has some value greater than other combinations. So this was the question. The question looked very simple. But the only problem is I never tried a data structure algorithm in my job. That's the thing. I hope most of the people do not try these kind of problems in their day-to-day life. We will deal with React.js, AngularJS, Spring Boot, and all these frameworks. So by the time I was thinking about the problem, then the interviewer said, it is one of the topmost company in Chennai. And the interviewer said, time is up. Thanks for giving the interview. Bad luck this time, better luck next time. We will see you in the next interview. And this is all that I'm going to talk about. So the change. If you are a guy who has more than 10 years of experience, and if you have given an interview, say for example, 3 years before or 2 years before also, the kind of interviews, the kind of interviewers, the kind of company expectations that we have today is entirely changed. And as a candidate, it's important for us to adapt to that change. I hope most of you knows about this film and this exact scene. I will keep it to your imagination whom we are talking about, who is me, who is the company, and all those stuff. So that I will keep it to your imagination. But we are going to talk about the change that we need to adapt. So what is my experience to talk about this change? This is just a small intro of what we are doing. It's not like me alone doing it, but some of them in Bangalore Open Source Group, they know. So we all dream about this. We want to identify first generation of engineers. Basically, we are interested in engineers who are coming from villages with not proper education and all those stuff. So we identify those people who are like not having good communication skill, not from good college, not with good marks. So basically, they are not fit for interviews. And we build them and then we place them. We do it for quite some time. I'm not going to in detail about that, but I'm going to be very specific about a single step here. So first is identify. I need to identify the talent. Then I need to build them. So when I build, I will explain them everything that they need to do the work. But when they get into the placement section, it is not about doing the work, but how to get the work is entirely different from how do we do the work. So I'm going to talk about the third step here, how I do placements and what are the things that I learned when I try to place someone who are not a natural fit for the company expectations. So that is my experience. And most of the learnings that I have, I do not want to have an imaginary story or something like that. So I learned from some of my friends and their stories, how they got their job and then how they changed their skill set. So these are all the three people that I know. The one, Sendil, is my manager. He had around 20 years of experience at that point in time. So what is so bad is he is a delivery manager and he's a proper people manager. He delivers projects on time without any complaints. He's a top one of the better managers that I have ever worked with. But the problem is when our company was about to close, Sendil was not able to find any job because even if he is a delivery manager, the first round of interview they ask about data structure and algorithms, and then they ask about what are all the things that you know about cloud, Azure, AWS, GCP. I don't even know whether the interviewer know that and the company uses it, but they ask all the questions from the book, and he was finding it very, very difficult. But what I'm really inspired from him is he never thought that is out of his scope. So what he did is he planned his interview preparation. He has his own set of mistakes, but then this is what he did. Say for example, within 2 months that he is going to lose the job, he started little early. So all that he did is, even my juniors, when I work in a technical team, even my juniors, when we talk about a new technology, they always say, no, we are getting a new job. We are having 20 lakhs. We are going to have 30 lakhs. They all tried to learn about the technologies that gives more money. But what Sendil did is he went to basics. So he voluntarily called technologists, actually. He doesn't need to do from his level. But then he asked to explain about the project. Explain about the technology. What is microservices? How micro frontend works? And he, even when nobody was there, he was taking individuals and then he was asking about that. And also every day he solved one problem each from Geeks for Geeks or whatever it is. And he was preparing slowly. Finally, he got into a better job in Bangalore. Now he works as a delivery manager. Again, the problem is he does the same people management, but whatever that he learned was just to get the job. So the point that we need to understand is getting a job doesn't mean that we need to be good at our work. We need to make some changes so that we get a job and then we be good at our work. That's the secondary thing. And then I have a friend called Manju. So Manju is working in a very big e-commerce company. His story is very inspiring to me because the reason being, I belong to at that point in time I belong to.
Thank you, bhai. बस चल रहा है. सुन, मैं एक सेशन में हूँ. It'll get over around 12, so I'll call you back after that. ठीक है?
Okay. So
नहीं, I'm trying to learn something. So Bangalore Java user group is doing a few sessions for free on Java. तो उसी पे पढ़ रहा था.
I think okay. So Manjunathan is basically a .NET developer. He worked in a company and he's continuing to work in the company for last 14 years. That is strange in software, but yes, he does that. He is working there for 14 years. But what is very interesting about his story is he started as a VB developer, Microsoft shop. So the company is more of a Microsoft shop at that point in time. So he started as a VB developer. And then his project demanded someone to be expert in SQL Server. So he started working in SQL Server, and that is the place where he converted himself as a DBA. And he was a DBA for around 10 years. And after that, the company decided they are going to make some strategic move, and they are going to get some talents into the company from outside who are with latest technologies like microservice architecture, Elasticsearch, event-driven architecture, all that. So I was one of that new recruits. So our duty, we were called as a strategic team, whatever marketing name that we can talk, but we know what we know. We know nothing much actually. But then we all get into a group, but then we were always considered as a strategic team. So now Manju had two choices. The team that he was working as a DBA, he was the topmost DBA. If Manju joins our team, Manju is going to be a junior guy, even though he's a very senior, but he's going to join as a junior guy. He is going to be like treated not like a very experienced guy or something like that. He's not going to have his respect in terms of the position. But then he joined the team. I know how he struggled initially because Java was new to him, Elasticsearch was new to him, this terminologies like data science was new to him. But at his core, he was a DBA. If you are a DBA, you have a great chance of making a better data engineer or a data scientist. And that opportunity he realized, and he stuck with that opportunity for 1 year. It was a very tough journey for Manju, but he slowly adapted to that. And I left the company. By the time I left, he was a proper Elasticsearch expert in that organization. But the story doesn't stop there. After I left, we keep in touch. But now when I ask Manju what he is doing, currently he's working as a DevOps engineer and infrastructure automation, IaaS, infrastructure as a code. So all the latest technologies that we talk about or all the gimmick word that we talk about, he's an expert and he's one of the most valued person in his company. So what I really admire about Manju is many people have the fear of adapting the technology. So the one bold step that I think Manju made is he was ready to forget the fact that he's so much of experience, he need to have the respect. He respected the technology. So he adapted to that. He stuck to the plan, even though it was very difficult to him. And now he made a lot of benefits. He stays relevant. That's it. And then there is a homemaker, Guru Ammal. This is especially for those who are juniors who are struggling to find job in this pandemic situations. Do not think that it is tough. It is still pretty much possible, but we need to be like consistent. So Guru Ammal did this BE in 2003. After that, she did masters. She did PhD. She worked as a lecturer somewhere. She's going through PhD for now, and she had a career break for 10 years. And at one point in time, based on because of her family situations and all those stuff, she wanted to get into the job. She needed job desperately, and she wanted to apply to that job. Guru Ammal is a person not anybody will look into. For example, if you go to a company and then you say you have a fresher who took a career break for 10 years and then she's a homemaker, nobody will listen to her. But what she did is she keep persisting. She selected only one area and she keep persisting only with that area. She never looked into other areas. She just looked into Java. She learned only Java. If I understand, Guru Ammal is there in this meeting also, just to understand about Java, what people are talking about Java. But she keep persisting. I think just last week she got her first job. So these are all the people who made big. That's what I think within my circle, and I learned from some other people also. But then the problem, if I relate these stories and combine them together, the lessons that they give to others, it's all about dashes. So sometimes dashes matters. So we are going to talk about those dash that matters for us to get into the job. Okay. So these are all the things that I learned. We will go to that topic in detail later when we talk about technologies and other stuff. You'll be able to relate what we are talking. It might sound like a bit of a theory. So it's always better idea to choose career for now than the job, position, or a salary, because there are, as technology keeps changing, there are things that are going to they are going to make they are going to stay irrelevant for something. I mean, some of them might be like, let me keep it very straight. These are all my opinions only. So do not take it wrong if somebody belongs to that terminologies, but then just to put the names, I'll put it name directly. So for example, you might be a very good manual tester. But if you go to a company and then you say, I have an experience of 10, 15 years of manual QA, most probably people will not look at your CV first of all. They will think about even a bad automation QA is better than an excellent manual QA. Of course, manual QA can be a very good automation QA also, but you need to choose your career. If somebody says manual testing, please come, we will give a job and all those stuff. Just think that if you have a lesser job, a lesser salary, lesser position, but an automation, better you choose that career. That's one thing that I learned. And the salary is for technology. This is my own experience. I don't know how many of you have seen recessions before. I have seen 2001, 2008, and 2000. The current recession that we have, where people doubt that whether we have a recession or not, that is secondary. But in 2008, it happened. The stupid decision that I made is, around 2008, I was a very active programmer, so I was very super confident about my technical skills and all those stuff. So I had the consistent habit of putting the paper first and then looking for a job. I took pride from that. But the mistake that I did at that point in time is I did it around 2008 or 2009, where the industry was going through the recession. So I put the paper and nobody was looking for Java developer at that point in time. I was not getting even calls, even though my Java skills were top notch at that time. But the problem is, I know little bit, but the good thing is I know little bit of Adobe Flex. I don't know how many of you know Adobe Flex. So I know Adobe Flex. It's called Rich Internet Application. So to keep it very simple, Rich Internet Application is machine learning or artificial intelligence at that point in time, where people don't know what it is, but everybody considers that it's highly valued. So I know little bit of Adobe Flex. I applied for a company where they interviewed for Adobe Flex, and the good thing is, when I started the interview, I was like very in desperation because I lost quite a bit of an interview, and then the interviewer asked the questions from Adobe Flex, and after 10 minutes of time, I know that the interviewer himself admitted saying that I actually don't know Adobe Flex that time. That is the time that I see an opportunity, and I started explaining about Adobe Flex, which even Adobe doesn't know, and I got that job offer. So as a good Java technologist, I couldn't get a job, but as a normal below par Adobe Flex technologist, I could get my job. So technology matters. So salary is for technology. But if you go to the advanced level, better salary is not for technology, better salary is for terminology. Let me put it very straight. So there are excellent Linux administrators that we have. I know people. I know a person who's an excellent Linux administrator, but he was considered as one among the many. But then, if you consider later, what he did is we had a discussion like how do we position our CV. We made only one change from Linux administrator, which he was doing already. We just changed the CV to CI/CD in DevOps integrator, and then he got his next job. It was a very good job, and then. Now DevOps is also going. I think it will go down. That's the idea. But now don't identify yourself as a DevOps. If you identify yourself as an SRE, site reliability engineer, you have a better value. So it's the same person, same skill set, but the terminology matters. So please look for the terminologies that you apply in your CVs. So SREs have a lot of values. If you go to the advanced level, then you can call the same person as RPA also, where robotics comes, robotics process automation, which looks even better for the interviewer to choose your CV. That's one thing. And now we are going to the real facts from here. So value the opportunity. So if you are more than 10 years of experience, please consider this. It is not going to be easy because the number of calls that you are going to get it's not about will reduce, it's already reduced. That I can see within my experience as well as my friend's experience. So you're going to have a limited set of calls. So make use of every opportunity. So if you're going to give a try to an opportunity, better make sure you prepare and then go. So one technique that I followed immediately after that incident that I had, where I was rejected within a minute of an interview, I decided to postpone my best case. So what I did is, within my opportunity, whichever is my most difficult chances, which I think I may not make it, I took them first, so that I prepared for a tough exam. Whichever I thought I can definitely make it, I postponed it. So that's how I got my job later actually. And then rank doesn't matter. This is not new. Most of you might have come from colleges, so you know this technique. So there are two people who always, one kind of people, they will always think about how do I get 90 mark or 95%, 80%, 85% and all those stuff. But anything more than 60, you are first class in your, whether BE or whatever it is. So focus on the first class. So if you made your mind that all that you need is 60 to get that first class, then you can focus on that 60 rather than just trying something and then fail there. So we'll prepare only limited set of syllabus so that we can get into the first line through. So to keep it very simple, there are two rounds that are going to be very, very difficult. First round will be from a non-technical person. It might be from a consultant. It might be from that TA teams, where they will simply ask, okay, do you know experience in Angular? Do you know experience in React.js? You might be a very good Vue.js developer, JavaScript developer, but they don't know. They will just see the names and they will reject it. So that is one round that you can clear with the terminology technique that I told. But the second round is you are going to have the data structure and algorithm round. That is the place where I think the session that we had yesterday by Feroz matters a lot. To put it very simple, just consider this case. Interviewer is not going to be an alien. You are going to be interviewer for somebody, candidate for somebody. So interviewer is one among us. So now if you consider it is going to be we only who are going to interview, just consider this case. Are you going to prepare data structure, algorithm, advanced topics today, and then you are going to take interview because you already have a lot of tasks to complete? All that you are going to do is you are going to search in the internet, look at the problems, and then you are going to ask about the problem. And the basic psychology that I have seen is, if you know any person who gave interview for the company that you're going to give interview, expect that most probably the same question will be asked for you in this particular step, because most probably the interviewer will be same, and the interviewers keep asking the same questions independent of how many candidates that they interview. So it's better to do an homework of checking, is there anybody in your circle who attended that interview? Better ask them what are the questions that they asked. It works really well. And then most of these interviewers, they take from Geeks for Geeks or HackerRank only. That is what I see. That's a very common standard. You can find it in these two sites. And then make sure, don't overperform in this. Don't think about graph, complex algorithm and all this stuff. 90% of the cases, these data structure algorithms are to deal with array of numbers. You can expect array of numbers as majority of the questions. So better cover the topic first. That will help you to cover that first round better. And then the last one is build your profile. This is a change that many who hasn't given interview for 5 years, they don't realize this. Whenever someone asks you for a CV, we have the habit of giving a Word document or a PDF. Word document or a PDF doesn't matter anymore. As an interviewer, what I'm interested in is to see the fact that I can verify about you. So it's actually 3 generations. First generation is Word document. Around 2003 when I joined, it was like Word document. We'll prepare CVs, we will do nice formatting, we will put flowers, we will put colors, all this presentation matters and all those stuff. And then later changed. When LinkedIn came, LinkedIn profile matters much more than your Word documents. The reason being, LinkedIn has a history has a value. So I can see whom you all know. If I have a common connection, I can inquire about you. People can vouch. There are still tricks to build a LinkedIn profile. I don't want to get into that now, as it's a recorded session, but you can build your profile. But the LinkedIn is more trusted, that's one thing. But now we are living in the 3rd stage. So your opportunity of cracking in an interview is more if you have your online presence felt. That is, if anybody asks your CV, if I am an interviewer, if I get a CV, the first thing that I look is if they have provided a GitHub URL, HackerRank score, Stack Overflow profile, LinkedIn profile. So I look into that. Most of my questions will be around that. So if you are in a job and you think that you are very confident also, but start building your profile slowly, because these profiles cannot be built in an overnight. If it is a Word document, you can write whatever you want to write with your imagination within a day, and then you can give it. But people don't trust it. People trust your online presence. And if you want to build an online presence, you need to be consistent with your preparation. If you are planning to do it after 2 months, start now. In GitHub, if you go to your profile, there will be a green dotted line. So in fact, for all our students that we place, we will give only GitHub URL and HackerRank URL. And by rule, every day they need to commit it. The rule is, don't commit 10 files in one day in GitHub. Commit 1 file a day, every day. And at the end of the day, if you go to your profile, you can see that your profile activity will be green. And that is the one that gives better impression. So build your profile is one thing. And the most important thing, this is what I think the experienced people don't catch. In most of the meetup that I go, some of my friends ask about this actually. I am very experienced. Do you think I lost alone because I think I cannot compete with these people who are coming newly? Yes and no. Yes, the fact is, it is not something that we need to hide. Yes, from the company side, the overall impression now is, rather I take a 10-year or 15 years experienced guy and teach him about the latest technologies, about event-driven, dynamic programming and all those stuff. I better choose a less salaried, fast-moving junior developers who are built for functional programming, dynamic programming and microservices in their curriculum itself. So that's the general idea, but we are missing a trick here. As an experienced person, it is not the technology that we are bringing value to the table. It is because you know what kind of mistakes that you can do. You know the purpose behind those technologies, and that is a core skill. So experience really matters. Just consider this simple fact. If a new technology comes, is it going to come saying that we are going to make your life tougher and it is going to be a complex technology? No. If the new technology comes, it is going to be simpler. It is going to solve it in an efficient way. It is going to be from the lessons that we learned from the older technologies. So we have the advantage of those lessons. If we know that lessons and keep persisting with the new technology, we can make better than the junior guys. So that is the place where we have a value. Of course, junior guys have values. Most of the students that I deal with are junior guys. So I give value to the junior guys. But yes, experience guys, their experience matters, but we need to persist. One of the story that I told about Sendil, that is what it shows. He keep persisting with the technologies. He keep persisting with his experience, and that is the place where he got his opportunity. So these are all the dashes that we need to keep in mind. So in future, the idea is we will deal about this specific areas where we can find job, and we'll see in detail about those frameworks, technologies where I can find job and other stuff, and we'll deal it later. But just consider this case, we need to keep persisting with the technology. Things are not going to change within a day. It will take some time, but the patience matters. That is what we can do to get our job. So this is all about the session. But as an additional add-on, I just want to go to the next one where I see what is our duty that we can do. This is just something personal. That is a place where I connect with Vaibhav and Feroz. In fact, if you remember in yesterday's session, Feroz mentioned this. He told about the purpose of this overall initiative that Vaibhav and Feroz has taken. He told, if one person can get a job because of what we do, that is the place where we see we fulfilled our efforts, the value of our effort. That's what Feroz told. I just want to reiterate on that. The meetups that we have, these guys conduct, and that is the place where I find some candidates and place them into some companies. So they already did it, they did it. So that's one thing that I really want to thank them. And apart from that, I think that duty belongs to every one of us. So from my side, I take two things that I think I can do within my own limits that I'm doing. So the fresh talents. So there are people who are just getting out of campus. For next 1 year, it is going to be tough for them to realize their dreams, get into a job. So most probably they are going to get into some kind of a food delivery job or something like that, because they cannot sustain a year without a salary. So what we can do from our side is we can take fresh talent. I mean, what I'm doing at least is I'm just giving 10,000 rupees a person. That's what I can do. But the 10,000 rupees is not a money that I'm giving. For 1 year, I'm just giving them a confidence. I'm giving 10,000 rupees to you. I'm asking them to work on open source projects. So they keep in hunt for their job opportunity when things come normal. So that is one thing that we can safeguard the fresh talent. That's one thing that I consider our duty. And the second duty is there are people who has great ideas, great products. I don't get into the make in India or whatever it is. It might be anything else. But then they have an idea of creating jobs. If anybody has an idea of making jobs, our knowledge, we can share it with them, help them to make the job that I'm doing already without any expectations. So we are giving that. We hope this will help some people. Maybe once things come normal, everybody will be able to move from there. That's the idea. So that's a request. So this is all that I want to share. As a follow-up next week onwards, so what I can contribute to the great initiative that Vaibhav is doing is I'm not coming from a core engineering. I come from more of an application development. So I can talk about Spring Boot, microservices, Elasticsearch, NoSQL DBs, architecture, React.js, CI/CD, UI UX, design systems. So these are all the things that I know. That if anybody is interested, please do let me know. We will cover that in our future sessions. And in those sessions, I'll go very specific about each framework and what are the questions that you can expect out of those frameworks. So thanks, Vaibhav, for the opportunity. Any questions, please do let me know.
Thanks, Satish, for your extensive discussion. It was really interesting. I would just like to add one thing for the entire group here. There are, I think, from whatever experience I have observed two important things. Whatever we do, whether we like it or not, unfortunately or fortunately, has a very clear goal. That is, we are getting paid for somebody to help them in some manner, in the sense that whenever IT systems are, IT is an enabler. IT is not the driver for any business. Now, there's somebody, I remember a quote from a colleague of mine, which is a very important one, that if we think that, okay, we as software engineers or product specialists or, system engineers are driving, or rather driving the business, that is not the case. Somebody is using Java to make an application, and the application generates revenue. Java doesn't.
Yes.
So that is a very important aspect to always remember, that we are the enablers, we are not the drivers. Secondly, any any challenge you face or any situation you face, if you always use the 5 W's and an H as your best friend, you'll always arrive at a solution. For example, let's say a question which Beba was discussing yesterday is that, when should I use insertion as a preference instead of searching as a preference? And Satish was giving different examples that, okay, here we use it and here we do not. Now, if I boil it down to something very simple, it all boils down to who needs it, why is it required, where is it required, when is it required, how is it being used. So if we cover these 5 W's and an H, we will obviously arrive at the most, complete view of a challenge or a solution to a challenge. So everything there has to be a reason for a particular approach, and what may seem the best approach today can change over time when the variables into the equation change, or when the factors which were responsible for that decision change. So always look at two things. How is this going to make money for me or for someone else? That's why I'm getting paid. And secondly is, why is this required? The drive behind this. So that's all I wanted to say. If anyone has any questions, please, the forum is open. You can start sharing your thoughts. It would be easier if you voice it out, because it will be easier to get a response the one-on-one.
One question from me. Thanks for great session to Satish. Can I give some more example on the terminology what you're talking?
Okay. So the terminology will be mostly at the third round. It's very simple. I actually prepared some. It might sound funny, but then I did it actually. So I collected terminology from different articles, magazines. I read InfoQ.com very often. So of course, InfoQ is good for many of the technologies and other stuff. But if you look into this agile practices section of InfoQ, you will know a lot of terminologies. For example, I don't know how many of you know about the day 2 problems. Have you ever heard about this day 2 problems?
No.
Okay. Always think about production users is a general word that you use. This production readiness is called a day 2 problem. Day 2 problem is like problem that you see only after production. So just consider this word. When you explain somebody about, you talk about production readiness code and all those stuff, or you say, okay, consider day 2 problems. So it looks more attractive, right? So, but use it appropriately. Just consider your interviewer. If the interviewer is very, very knowledgeable and he's to the point, do not use these terminologies. Go with the simple terminologies. Use it wisely. I can share a lot of words. I'll share it in the next talk.
I believe, Satish, it relates to what Feroz was saying yesterday, that you should say what you know about.
Exactly.
If you try guessing around in the interview, you will.
It is double-sided sword. So assess your interviewer in the first 10 minutes and then open up.
Thank you, Satish.
Receive LinkedIn request from 3rd year guy from college. I like the
Satish, I have one query. Yeah. Now the things are moving towards the cloud.
Correct.
Yeah. Like I am thinking cloud is a better career option. How your suggestion?
Okay, very good. So
with Java, 1 minute. Java with microservices, or Java with microservices and CI/CD DevOps. You are telling that DevOps may go down. What is the reason behind it? Is there any kind of?
Okay. DevOps will not go down. The DevOps terminology will go down. Okay. Consider this case. Now we are in a pandemic situation. So just think from it's the company which gives you a job, right? Okay, think from a company side. Okay, I know a few of my friends who are in a company, and this is the exact word that he told. Satish, if I can cross through this pandemic without firing a single candidate from my team, without making profit, underlying, then I consider I achieved something better. That is what his standards. Which means the companies are going to be worried more about survival than developing, getting into the next goal and all those stuff, logically, okay? In order to do that, just consider this case. So earlier, before this pandemic came and all those stuff, the CI/CD or DevOps is just an option. It's a luxury because people don't work remotely. People work within your office. Now everybody works remotely, which means it makes it more relevant to get into cloud, get into DevOps mode, get into automation mode. So they are going to have lot of values.
Okay.
So DevOps is an area and cloud is an area where you can expect there will be more people added or more value added because it is closer to the business. At the same time, site reliability engineer is what you do as a DevOps also. But only thing is that you need to know about the monitoring tool. How do we troubleshoot the problem? All that extra little bit of a skill set. That's all.
Yeah. Here I have a follow-up question. As see here, two roles are there. One is Java developer and architect who knows DevOps a little bit. DevOps is like we have hell number of tools. It is not possible one person to expertise on those areas. If as a Java developer is good at Java and microservice profile, if you know little bit cloud, in DevOps areas where we need to actually focus on it. Suppose I can say like after 10 years, I don't know Jenkins, I don't know kind of Kubernetes or basics. Kubernetes, once again, it's a big area. Like how much level we can go, like what the companies are expecting now.
Okay. The company's expectation and the work expectation is two different things. Let us be very specific about this. As you mentioned about Jenkins, okay, we do a lot of Jenkins work in CI/CD. The Jenkins and CI/CD cannot be separated, if I'm not wrong. That
Yeah.
I hope everybody agree. But then now I disagree. In future, you will see, you may not see Jenkins in your organization pipeline itself, because what is now happening is there is a moment happening where companies like cloud companies, they are providing DevOps on their own, and they hide this underlying engines that you need, Jenkins or Circle-CI or whatever you need to use. They are trying to bring with Azure DevOps, code deploy. In Google also there is something else. So that is going to take more values because companies are going more towards that.
Okay.
The tools will keep changing. What you can persist is keep a fact ready. Okay, when I'm saying keeping a fact ready is independent of what tool that you apply, what you achieved. Explain that in the interview. Say for example, earlier the experienced candidates who attended more interviews, they will put this actually. We were delivering 4 features a week, and now we are delivering 20 features a week. That makes more sense. So go by that facts.
Got it.
About DevOps.
I think that more than the tools, the objective or the quantification of the enhancements provided by using a particular tool or a technology are more important.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what Satish was referring to, just for an example, Google is launching something called as Anthos. Now Anthos is going to provide you your service mesh, which can be Istio or Linkerd, which is again a terminology of microservices, along with your Kubernetes cluster management, along with your container management. All of that is being packaged into one single thing. So what is happening is, as and when we progress, things are getting more and more abstracted, in the sense that there are multiple layers. What you see as one single command is actually maybe 15 commands in the background. Now, is it possible for you to know all those 15 commands? For somebody starting up, no, it is definitely a challenge. So I'll give you people like us who have been there, at least some of us who have seen the the rudimentary stuff where Java was there and used to, people would have a real challenge onboarding a new member onto the team. Now it's much more easier. Why? Things are much more abstracted. They are much more templatized and readily available. The challenge with extreme level of abstraction is when things don't go the way you expect them, and you have to start digging into. Unless you understand the layers, you will always face a challenge. So it will take you time to build that understanding of the abstraction layer, but it is always a good direction to go towards.
Okay, thank you. One more follow-up question I have. It's a silly question, but still I want to place here. In the market, 3 are cloud like AWS and Azure and Google Cloud. As a career, just if you want to, anybody want to move to the cloud, which one is a better?
From the career standpoint, Azure is better.
Okay.
There are reasons to that I cannot go on record, but
Okay.
I see Azure makes more value because Azure is the place where there are more openings, less supply,
Okay.
and that is the place where we see value.
Okay.
And just to give you a real life example,
Mhm.
most enterprises use Office and Exchange as their email servers. It's very common. I think there are very few enterprises who do not.
Yeah.
By default, if you have an Exchange account, you have an account on Azure. So from the perspective of selling Azure to a enterprise customer where the decision maker is not a technical person, the ease of use is like, oh, sir, you want to start on your Azure? Okay, here's the screen. Why don't you log in with your Exchange credentials and see that's your Azure account. So for a Microsoft, it's much easier to sell it as a product because it's already there. You're not doing something extra. But similarly, compare the same challenge an Amazon sales rep will face. They have to set up an account. They have to show them, run them through the paces. What people always prefer is familiarity or ease of onboarding. Those are very critical factors. So in addition to what Satish is adding, and I think Satish was very much bang on that point, that number of jobs are more and number of qualified people are much lesser. AWS because of being an early starter has a lot of people focused on that, and it's also become quite extensive and at times a bit vast, that somebody starting up will feel a bit overwhelmed.
Okay.
Sorry that I skipped some of the questions from freshers, especially. I was more towards experienced guys. I see that there are some questions, but I just, my just one thing to the freshers is, do not get into the trap of words. People may say that okay, with React you can get a job easily. Yes, you can get a job, but then focus on core skills for some time and have some patience for 1 year. Market may not accommodate everybody now, but it will definitely come back again. So have that patience. Okay, so if that is the question, of course, reach out to me in my LinkedIn profile also if you have any other questions or any help that you need. Always there to help you out. So for the next thing, yeah, let me know which are the topics that you want to know, CI/CD or Spring Boot, microservices, any of the topic that I mentioned. We will try to cover a little bit, just interview specific stuff, not in detail, but interview specific stuff we will consider. But post it in the meetup group. Vaibhav will collect and then we'll discuss. Vaibhav, you there?
I'm not sure, Satish, whether he's still here. Let me just check once. No, I can't find a Vaibhav. So if there are no more questions, we'll end the session here. And if there's anything particular, please reach out to Vaibhav or Satish.
Satish, could you please give your LinkedIn profile ID so that we will add you in the chat?
I will be there in Vaibhav's account. You can search for this. 1 minute. Okay, I'll
chat here so that
I'll
people
put it
look
in
on.
the chat.
Yeah.
How do we introduce? Okay. How do I send it to everybody? How do I put everybody?
You need to put it in the chat if you want, Vaibhav. Sorry, Satish, if that's one.
I'm putting it into the chat, but it is selecting people. It is going only to Nitin.
Okay, you have to change it to the everyone tag on top.
Everyone tag, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I send it.
Yeah. You got it now.
Yeah, regarding Java, your Java 8 skills matters a lot. So whenever someone gives you a sample program, even before they ask, try to write it with Lambda expressions, streams, all these latest features. That helps. I'll go through these questions also, whatever I missed, and I will put it in the comments of Meetup group. So thanks for the patience that you showed to listen to the talk. Of course, it's a strange talk. I don't want to do that again and again. We'll see the technical talk later. Thanks for the patience. Show that for your job search also. All the very best.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Have a good day.